This post is going to be a little short and sweet, owing to the fact that I'm crazy busy right now, what with the acquisition of new equipment and the implementation of some long gestating production plans. But also because this vlog post is about a movie that doesn't exist yet, so I won't have a lot of clips to play. I'll have visuals, I just won't have any footage to show from the Animorphs movie I'm about to pitch. So yes, Animorphs, the book series that sold 35 million copies in its initial run from 1996 to 2001, and comprised about 90% of my childhood. You're all I ever wanted. You're all I ever needed, yeah. And yet somehow it hasn't been made into a movie yet. A low-budget TV show on Nickelodeon, yes.
Prince Alfangor, what an honor it is to be in the presence of a legend.
No, thanks. I'll read the book.
But there's never been a big budget attempt to put it on the silver screen. Perhaps the timing just wasn't right. Here are 3 reasons why the world is finally ready for an Animorphs movie. And the sooner the better. Number 1. We have the technology. Animorphs tells the story of 5 human kids and 1 Andalite cadet who acquire the power to morph into any animal they can touch. They use this power to fight the Yeerks, a race of alien slugs who are trying to take over the Earth by crawling into your ear, reading your memories like a book, and controlling your body, perfectly mimicking your every move while you're still conscious. Pretty terrifying, right? Especially for a young adult series. The Animorphs use their powers to strike the Yeerks however they can, but if they stay in morph for more than 2 hours, they stay trapped forever. From just the plot points that I've covered in the last 15 seconds, author K.A. Applegate is able to generate a huge amount of catharsis, tension, and drama. 2 of the Animorphs have members of their families who are under Yeerk control, and 1 of the Animorphs gets trapped in a morph in the very first book. Animorphs features over a dozen bizarre alien species, advanced spacefaring technology, epic battles between alien and animal forces, and of course 4 kids and a red-tailed hawk who can morph into any animal they can touch. As you can imagine, putting this story on screen would require a phenomenal amount of special effects, both practical and digital. Back in 1996, when the series first debuted, CGI was still in its infancy. People were producing great stuff, but only by paying a premium price, and there was only so much talent to go around. In the 13 years since Animorphs ended its print run, CGI has much improved, and talent is much more widely available. The specific film that convinced me that the technology was finally ready was Wolfman. It featured the first CGI transformation sequences that I thought rivaled the quality of the practical Rick Baker effects of the 1980s. So now we're finally able to put a kid morphing into a tiger on screen and make it look believable. By the way, this doesn't mean everything should be CGI. I'd still encourage the use of practical effects as often as possible. By all means, give me a real bear charging at the screen over a CGI bear any day. Number 2. The market is ready. Back in the late 90s, kids' books weren't really thought of as a proper source for movie adaptations. But in the decade and a half since, we've had mega blockbusters sourced from young adult book series. Twilight grossed $392 million worldwide. The Hunger Games grossed $691 million. The world is suddenly okay with watching good kids do terrible things to each other, and have terrible things be done to them. Sure, there have been disappointments, but the niche is there, and it's only growing. And Divergent and The Host specifically felt like shameless rip-offs. I think the box office potential for an Animorphs movie could be through the roof. And there's more than just ticket sales to consider. The Animorphs series would lend itself to countless opportunities for... God, and I hate talking like this. Countless opportunities for tie-ins, so as to boost that sweet, precious ancillary revenue that studios crave so much. Come to think of it, I'd actually like to see a decent hork-bajir action figure, so maybe this isn't a bad thing after all. Number 3. I'm perfect for the job.
In what way?
Hear me out. If I were put in charge of getting this movie franchise off the ground, just hypothetically speaking, I'd start by planning just 1 film, as opposed to, say, 15, which DC, Marvel, and Sony are all wont to do. You know what made the Batman Chris Nolan films so awesome? He only planned them 1 at a time. He wasn't thinking about which villain to put in the 4th or 5th installment, which girlfriend Bruce Wayne would be on 10 films from now. He approached every single Batman film like it was the last one he'd ever make. He didn't have to hold back. Everything he wanted to put in a Batman film, he put into that installment. And that didn't mean they were overstuffed. It just meant that things happened in each film. Characters had arcs. Because Nolan wasn't waiting around for the 3rd or 4th installment to make his characters change. More importantly, he wasn't contractually obligated to pimp 6 sequels in each film. Sony could learn a few lessons. This is exactly how the Animorphs series should be built. 1 film at a time. You don't sit down and figure out which books are going to be used to create 15 consecutive films. Why limit the creative possibilities like that? It makes for too much throat clearing, too much stalling for time, too much sequel pimping. Just sit down and create the most powerful conclusion to the franchise you can think of. that makes the progression fresh, natural, organic, epic, and ultimately super cathartic. Hollywood seems to forget these days that ideas are an inexhaustible resource. We will literally never run out of ideas. So you might as well use the best ones you got, right when you need them. You do that, and the fans will respond accordingly.